and welcome to Sports Tonight. I'm Cecilia Omogbe in Lagos.
For the greetings to you wherever you are in the world joining us. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan. Cecilia, I struggle to smile tonight because of what's going on in Ukraine. And at a time like this, I'm optimistic, hopeful, believing that we can use sports as a diplomatic tool to end the crisis between Russia and Ukraine.
And that's the reason most sports personalities are actually calling for ceasefire in Ukraine with what Russia has done. We've heard from the likes of Andrei Rublev talking about the fact that, look, they need to stop it because they want peace to reign. We've heard from so many sports stars. Formula One champion Max Verstappen is even saying that the Russian Grand Prix that will take place in September this year should be cancelled. And same thing with Sebastian Vettel, who has actually said that, look, he will not be going to Russia if F1 decide to host the Russia Grand Prix. So there's so many calls coming from different sports personalities. And of course, Brazilian soccer players are also there saying that they want to leave. And we know just recently, Nigerian foreign ministry saying that they want to evacuate Nigerians there. We know you have about 6 players, from Nigeria playing in Ukraine right now. And because the football has been stopped, of course, once war starts, sports usually suffer. And UEFA also, recently they are going to have an extraordinary meeting tomorrow where they will be deciding to get another venue for the UEFA Champions League final. So it's a whole lot, Austin. Yeah. And we, right here, we are really not happy with what's currently going on, in Ukraine. With Russia invasion, everyone was thinking it wasn't going to happen. Right now, it's happening. Hopefully, there will be a ceasefire, but that's not the focus on the play. There's so much more on sports tonight. Of course, we'll be talking about the Super Falcons of Nigeria. We'll also be talking about the sports diplomacy that is currently going on with the ministry, and of course, with a whole lot. And the UEFA Europa League will also get our attention on the program. Still so much to talk about on Sport Tonight, Austin. Of course, we'll not be doing the talking.
I know, Cecilia. Finally, I get a smile because it's an action-packed world of sports. Yeah. So, as I said in my opening remarks, I hope that we can use sports productively to stop this nonsense going on between Russia and Ukraine, and let's just hope that at the end of the day diplomacy will win. I like the fact that we're engaging in sports diplomacy. I've been studying that for a long time. That's part of what I did as my dissertation, my master's degree program, and it can really be used. Countries to stop seeing sports as just leisure. It can go a long way, to bring countries together. For instance, let's say, take a club like, let's say, Manchester United or Arsenal. If you have a Russian player and a player from Ukraine, they're both going to play for the same club. They won't say, oh, because of what's going on between our countries. And that's what sports can do. We can use it as a unifying tool. The Klitschko brothers, they've been there, done that with heavyweight boxing. They have condemned what's going on right there in Ukraine. And at this time, the world just needs to come together and say, look, everyone, let's let reason prevail. And at the end of the day, let's see how we can put sports in the mix of politics so that everybody will understand fair play, which is our watchword in sports. Everyone will understand teamwork, bonding, togetherness. And there's just so much values embedded in sports that we can use. And because, Cecilia, I was at the World Cup in Russia, and everyone thinks that, oh, the Russians are happy people, they're not happy and all of that. But you could tell that they're actually beautiful, wonderful people, and sports exposed that part of them. In fact, that was the period I saw Vladimir Putin smile the most. So I think we should engage them with more sporting events so that the fighting can stop. But I agree with you. Aside that, there's so much to talk about. I know you cannot wait to talk about the Super Falcons, Cecilia.
Yeah, of course, I can't wait to talk about that. And, we'll not be together. We'll not be doing all the talking alone because Bolu is right here in the studio. Bolu Omoni is right here in the studio. Bolu, how are you doing?
Good evening again, and Austin, good evening, and good to be again on this lovely Thursday evening. And an unfortunate period where many things are happening. But again, like Austin rightly said, sports can go beyond what many people think sport is. It's unfortunate that here many of us still see sport as recreation, but it has gone way beyond that. Imagine having Klitschko and Usyk coming together, telling everyone there needs to be peace. Imagine, like Austin said, 2 players from the 2 nations in the same club coming together to be one. on. I believe, I hope this will end so very soon, as soon as possible, because the more it lingers on, the bad it is for many people, and the bad it will be even for sports. Now there are talks of changing the venue of the UEFA Champions League. It means all the logistics, all the plans would definitely have to change. The new nation that will take charge will have to start planning over again. This is not what we want. We've gone beyond what we didn't fight for, what we didn't hope for, the COVID. This is a human disaster. We hope this ends very soon and we just continue living our life the way it used to be.
That's what we're all hoping for. Before we get down to also talk about details concerning it, especially with some clubs also, you know, dropping the sponsorship that is coming from Russia. So a whole lot of sanction, you know, coming on Russia. Before we talk about all this, let's start with the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Of course, Austin, you know, we have to talk about the women, what they did in Abuja yesterday. Yes, on yesterday's show, we talked extensively about that. But they've arrived the country. They were delayed for about 3 hours, at the airport. Usually the NCDC that will tell you, hey, you have to, do your COVID test, even if you've done it 24 hours before time, which, is normal at the airport. Most of us have witnessed it. But then this is the national team of Nigeria, who they were delayed. They just finished playing the game, and the game was from 5 to 7 p.m. They finished that game. They went straight to the airport in Côte d'Ivoire, and from there, they were not harassed in Côte d'Ivoire. Of course, they boarded peacefully. And then they got to Nigeria, Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport in Abuja. They were delayed. They were not allowed to go out. Even Aisha Folode was with them. They didn't even look at her face to allow the girls to go. These are the women who just finished playing football. And that's why the coach was actually talking about the fact he wasn't happy about it. He spoke. Let's just listen to, we saw the face of the coach of the Super Falcons around the wardrobe. Let's listen to him, how upset he was, when they were at the airport waiting to be cleared before, they can get back to rest for the night.
Yeah, just very, very frustrating. We had a 2-hour flight from the Ivory Coast to return, and we've already been in this room for almost 2.5 hours. Very frustrating to come back home and have our players have to go through this. There's nonsense on all these COVID tests, which we've already taken multiple times to play the game and leave. So I don't really understand it, but it's very, very frustrating.
Yeah, they were really frustrated. Those pictures, when we saw that early this morning, as early at 3 a.m., that's when we got those pictures, from the Super Falcons media officer, Tobechukwu. They were not happy. But at the end of the day, of course, they let them go after more than 3 hours delay. And Austin, you're living in a senior climb, so to speak. But then it's something that when you see those pictures, your heart breaks. Especially they just finished the football game, and then they were expected to just go straight to their hotel after arriving in Abuja. Some of them that were supposed to have a connecting flight to their various clubs, the delay wasn't really welcoming at all.
It wasn't, Cecilia. I must say, yeah, you used the right word. It's heartbreaking, particularly after that, how will I put it now, fantastic performance in Abidjan to qualify for the African Women's Cup of Nations. You don't come back to your country and then you're treated that way. It's quite unfortunate. And those were actually the words that the NFF president used. But there are two sides to a story. Yes. We're in a very delicate time with COVID-19. So the Super Falcons said, they did tests in Côte d'Ivoire that to validate them to get into Nigeria. NCDC says you have to go through new COVID tests. So with this COVID-19 issue and all of that, these days is very, very difficult to come out and talk, but let's just stay with the fact that it was unfair treatment given to the champions of Africa, Nigerians who went out there to labor for the country. And it tells you that people didn't do their job. The NFF didn't do a proper job. The delegation that took the girls to Côte d'Ivoire didn't do a proper job. So it's just quite unfortunate, but let them learn from this so it doesn't happen again. I'm glad that it even happened in their country. Yes. Because if it had happened outside, we would have been struggling to find words to describe it, So everyone needs to, look at where they can get where their blames are and then find a way to settle it because it goes beyond NCDC just stopping them at the airports. You see,
yeah, it goes beyond that. And Bolu, of course, will definitely have opinion about that. Bolu, I mean, this happened, and this is something obviously you wouldn't want to hear. But Bolu, it happened actually.
Well, we've seen few stories like this before, but like Austin said, it happens outside your country, not in your country. And one thing I keep telling people is that one of the challenges we have is consequences, lack of consequences. If we had something like that, obviously heads should roll. Like what Austin said, NFF didn't do their job. And sometimes it's good to be zealous, but overzealousness is one of the things that can kill you. I understand that if you do a COVID test in Nigeria, then you take it abroad. It validates you to enter the country. But why not when you do a COVID test abroad, you come to Nigeria, you have problems, you have issues, this and that. I think we should have gone beyond this. And that's where the NFF comes in. If the most successful team in Africa, male or female, travels, there should be plans in the place that when they get back, this and this should be done. I don't think the Super Eagles will travel to play football and the NFF president will not travel with them. The presence and all this, and like what Sisi said, even Aisha Falode was with them, and nobody cared. It means we are not doing the right things. We are just doing things in a poor way. Fortunately, they were able to leave at the end. There were reports, some said it's true or false, about one of them losing consciousness. But the most important thing is these girls are good. And you ask yourself, the likes of Ashley Plumter, what will our parents be thinking? This girl coming here the first time experiencing things like this. We need lack of consequences is the main challenge. But thankfully, the girls are fine. The girls are okay. Some of them probably have gone back to their club side. I wish you don't get to face things like this. Just look at Uche Nakano. The pictures were bad to the side. Yeah. Tears and everything, had to pour water and all. I tell people, we should know that the Falcons will be coming this time. We've seen it everywhere, even in the Champions League during COVID, that a team plays and they leave the country. Immediately, they land in their home front. No problems, no issues. We should have gone past things like this. It's unfortunate that it's even happening. You know, if it was in Ivory Coast, you will understand that maybe they are playing mind games, trying to unsettle the players. But this is it. They went to Ivory Coast. No problem. Our COVID test that they took there was safe and clear. Then coming back to Nigeria, why is our COVID test not good enough for us to sort this out? But again, 3-4 hours for players who just finished playing, it can be very, very tiring. And some of them, like Sisi said, will have to travel back to their club sites. Luckily, they are done. They are cleared. Everything is fine. No more qualifiers again. They've qualified to the next round. I just hope we get to settle things like this ahead of time. And again, the most successful team in Africa will not go through this kind of unfair treatment.
Hopefully we don't see this again. But then the NFF president, Amaju Penny, has apologized for that. And of course, he said the incident was really unfortunate for the Falcons.
Some very overzealous NCDC officials wanted, in fact, they wanted to do that to the Super Eagles when we came back. And I told them that, Super Eagles, I'm on the queue, I'm going out of this airport, you people should follow me. And all of them followed me, and that was the end. Because you can't go out to make Nigerians proud and you come and you be boarding at your entrance. When you go abroad, you see something, they give you all the kind of respect. We know they are doing their job. We know we want COVID to, I mean, we are not antagonistic to some of their, but you see, when it comes to people that, there are issues that you look at and take decisions based on those issues. This girl just played from the stadium, they went straight to the airport. And to the airport, we deployed 2 of our top, went right in to receive them. And they said, come in, oh, they want to do this one. Kept them there for 5 freaking hours. It's not done. At that point, it was late, but we're making calls, we're making contact, but nobody was picking at that point. And there's no way you fault people from picking. But they should know that these girls are national treasure. It is the Super Falcons are the most successful team in the world. I give you an example. They've won their championship 9 times. America has won the CONCACAF female women's this thing 8 times. Germany has won their own 8 times. This is the only country in the world. They've been to every World Cup. So we must accord them their respect. That's why for Super Falcons, I always go the extra mile. Because so much is given, much is expected.
I mean, NFF President Amaju Pinnick not really happy about the whole situation. As all of us have agreed, hopefully this will never, ever happen again. All right, we'll leave in the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Yeah, okay.
No, I was just saying that he used the right word. Even, yes, the NCDC officials were trying to do their job, but maybe they were overzealous. It's just some way they treat ladies. They're
Austin,
ladies.
we know,
Austin, care.
Yeah. Austin, we know the COVID-19 rules across board, right? It hasn't changed. 24 hours, yes, is allowed. but you don't do a test 24 hours and you're coming and they're asking you to do another one again. We know what's going on at the airport, Austin. I mean, we've experienced this. Let's just leave it at that.
Because I'm trying to say,
okay.
I'm trying to say that yes, the NCDC official was trying to do his job, but maybe he was overdoing it. He needs to tone it down. He's dealing with ladies. Hello, he's dealing with the most successful women's team in the world. You know, the defending champions of Africa. So it's just unfortunate that happened. Right. I was heartbroken seeing Iche Nakano on the floor, Rashida Ajibade looking dejected. I've been speaking with Ashley Prompter's dad, and they're so happy that their daughter is representing Nigeria, picked Nigeria over England. And in just 3 games, she's going through this. It's not good for our image, for our PR. Let's just hope that this doesn't repeat itself again.
That's a hope. All right, let's quickly talk about the only match that was played today, Nigerian Women's Football League match day 8, Adamawa Queens and, of course, Osun Babes. It ended 2-1. Adamawa Queens were 2-0 up before Osun Babes were able to get one back. Happiness Okechukwu scoring the 7th minute of the game before Ijoma Obi, consolidated, scoring the second one, 21st minute. And Patience DK scoring the 41st minute. All the goals were scored in the first half. Osun Babes tried to come back, but then they just couldn't. Adamawa Queens recording a victory in that one. Yes, Austin, at the beginning of the show, we mentioned the sports diplomacy that the sports ministry and, of course, the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs are trying to bring about in terms of, a Nigeria foreign policy agenda for Africa. You talked about that extensively, concern, because part of your, master's program and everything. But then today we witnessed something that has really happened, a series of symposiums that will be going on in the country for us to really have a foreign policy. So let's just, take a listen, what went down today, and then we'll set the ball rolling for that.
Sports diplomacy is not so entirely new. In the United States, in China, in France, in the UK, in Kenya, and so on. Sports is in the middle, in the forefront of everything that is done. It's not just a complementary thing. It's not an ancillary thing. It can even be the primary instrument, for getting the things that we want to do. And, you have also heard sports has become such a big industry. It's equivalent to manufacturing, if not even, modern manufacturing. So in terms of marketing, in terms of, income generation, in terms of foreign direct investment and so on, you cannot toy with sports. And that's the whole thing. It's to make Nigeria a sports brand, which we already are, but to strengthen that brand in how we then effectuate it and use it in furtherance of our national interests and foreign policy.
Without the athletes, you got no business talking about sports diplomacy or sports as business and the rest. So first, the starting point is, and we've tried to achieve that in the policy, how do we build in an ecosystem that places all our athletes on a higher pedestal, that adds value to them, but also turns them into brands for the sports in which they participate in. And there is no shortcut to it. Increasingly, we've seen how, even during conflicts and wars, sports comes in as a tool of diplomacy. You listen to that extensive comment by former president of South Africa, Mandela, when he had just a cascade, a number of top athletes with him. And he says, it's one of the best moments of my life. So for a country, we don't really have to be ambivalent about what to do, because there are countries in the world that have shown us the path. We just need to copy and paste, and as a government decide that we will place our athletes on a high pedestal, we'll give them the attention they deserve, and then build an ecosystem where the private and public sector work together to project them to the world.
Yeah, Austin, I mean, you clearly heard from Professor Egosa Osaga and also the sports minister, Sunday Dare, talking about what sports policy can really do for the country.
Yeah. Interestingly, Cecilia, this is what we've been talking about. If we have a working policy, we'll bring it into our sports and find ways that will make our sportsmen and women brands, build a business environment, and everything, I agree with the prof, is embedded in sports diplomacy because it exposes the unique power of sports to bring people, nations communities together via shared values. And in our world of sports, sometimes it's not just about winning. Look at what we've said about Ukraine and Russia, that if you put sports in the middle, everybody will understand that the game is fair play. So I like that we're beginning to talk about this. I love that the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, they are involved. It's now for us to take it to the next level. Let it go beyond talking. Let's make that policy happen. Let's be practical. Let's put things into perspective and ensure that it doesn't just end up on the pitch, because all we're using sports for now is get to the pitch, play and win. No, we can actually use it to give Nigeria a broader image, build our foreign policies, and get respect internationally. Celia, let's pause. We'll come back to this conversation. It's Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Let's go on this quick break. When we come back, there's still so much more to talk about as regards sports diplomacy and what's going on with the NBBF. Don't go anywhere. Stay. Welcome back to Sports Tonight on your award-winning, sports-loving Channels Television. We're taking a look at what's going on in our world of sports. Don't forget, you can be part of the show. Just send us a message on Twitter, Channels_sports. Send us an email to sportstonight@channelstv.com. Just before that break, we're talking about sports diplomacy. And you listen to the prof say, look, it's not a new term. It's new to us because we've not been making use of the practice. It's big in the United States of America. It's big in the United Kingdom. And Bolu, when I listen to the minister talk about making our sportsmen and women brands, I jumped right on the Falcons situation and say, if we understand what we were doing with diplomacy, right there, we would have found a way not to make sure that we find Uche Nakanu and those players dejected sitting on the floor.
Well, that's the truth. I agree with you 100%. Even about what you said earlier. One thing, in all fairness, is what Mr. has been saying from the get-go was about making, bringing money to our sport, not just John, like they say in the local parlance, making football productive in terms of finance. Unfortunately, it feels more like using Austin's word, we like to talk the talk. It's time to get to walk the talk, because if we say this all the time, many people know these things, but we need to see the practice. And I hope the policy making, everything will not just be, oh yeah, we've said this thing, we've had a conference symposium, and it goes like that. Because of brands. I interviewed someone at the point about way forward of the NPFL, and one thing he said point blank, that he's traveled abroad, and sometimes in different cities, you will see a player as a brand. Sometimes some fans go to stadium to watch one particular player, and he has never been to anywhere in Nigeria that a Canopy last player, for example, there's this star man with his pictures everywhere. No, we need to. Branding is very, very key, because sometimes some of our players are brand. In terms of Falcons, for example, the only person many people relate with, Assistant Oshoala. After her, we don't know many players. We need to, when this person or people are brands, when you think about this team, when you think about this sports, these are the people you relate with. And it starts, like he said, a gradual process. But some processes are just too long for us. If it's a gradual process, 4 years, I think that's too long. So we need to start working. We need to get this thing fast. We need to start making money from our sports. That way, even many private investors will get into our sports. Look at how many private clubs we have in the NPFL. But when they know that I will make more money when I invest it, they would invest. So I hope we get to action. I hope we go beyond talking, beyond conferences, beyond symposiums. And in the next few months, we start seeing actions. Believe me, when they say they want to do something else, everyone will believe and get to it.
And there's something about Nigeria, when we are serious about doing something, usually we're able to do it. Hopefully this conversation that has been launched, there's a series of it and everything, combining sports and diplomacy, will really drive that Nigeria's foreign policy agenda for Africa. Nigeria will now be a reference point when it comes to sports diplomacy. All right, let's leave this sports diplomacy, and hopefully the results will be fruitful, and very soon we will reap what this conversation will give to us. All right. Now let's, okay.
Yes, Cecilia, I was just going to say that I love what I see. The persons that attended that symposium, they can drive our sports diplomacy policy. Look, because we can do so much with this. I've always said it, that we must protect the values on which sports was founded in Nigeria. Right. Look, we're beginning to lose it. Back in the day, the academicals, back in the day, school sports. Those were the things that made us good. Let's find a way to make sure that we put in a working document and make it work. Cecilia, I teased that we'll listen to the minister talk about what's going on in the MBBF. It's very, very important because in a way, if we've got sports diplomacy in action, we won't be having what we're having in the MBBF. So let's listen to the minister and we'll jump right on that conversation when he's done.
Basketball, we've managed that crisis. But you see, to resolve it, you have to choose as stakeholders to either work together or you end up in the court of law. This idea that the ministry is a court of law and must give a final verdict. We've tried our best. We had 4 different conversations, virtual meetings with all stakeholders. It didn't work. We set up a reconciliation committee that came with a recommendation. We had to work with FIBA to avoid a ban. All within that process, you saw how the ministry and the government managed. First, we got our basketball team, the Tigers, to go to Angola, and they led their own, their group to the qualifiers. We saw how we managed to get the Tigress to Serbia. They beat world-seeded France. They beat Mali, and then they qualified for the World Cup. Just yesterday, we got confirmation that we've moved one step up from being the 15th best female basketball team in the world to be the 14th. So we're at the point now that the elections are held. Unfortunately, we had 2 elections. The ministry has issued a statement that once we review the reports, we will engage and eventually make known our position. That process has started, should be concluded by next week, but what is important for us is that the development of basketball is bigger than any individual or a group of individuals. The national interest of our country and the careers of those athletes will come first. And that is the position that the ministry will take eventually. And we will be bold to convey that to FIBA, because any federation must operate within the laws of the country. The MBBF is not bigger than the country. No constitution is bigger than Nigeria's constitution, and we are properly guided on that.
Well, the minister really needed to walk away after saying that. So with the body language and the tone from the minister, you could tell that the ministry is fed up with the crisis in the MBBF, Cecilia, but they need to take leadership. The ministry, look, I think it's time to stop reviewing reports on this body or that body. The ministry needs to come out and say, look, we came right, because this crisis has been going on for too long. So now you said 2 elections, and there was one in one location and one in another. So now it's time for the ministry to come out and say, stop this. Let's operate as a body and be reasonable and put basketball first, because this is just, Cecilia, is this
happening? Yeah, it's crazy, really. I'm happy that he said next week. So today is Thursday, right? So next week, we're going to ask the question again, what next? I mean, Bolu is right here in the studio. So, Bolu, we're going to get your thoughts on this. You heard him talk about the fact that no MBBF constitution is bigger than the country. No board or no MBBF, nothing is bigger than them. And, of course, he mentioned the fact that by next week, they should be hearing from them because they want to put everybody together. Now, the question is, are they going to flock there? Because they've said they have a series of conversations. It seems not to be working. They still went ahead to have 2 different elections. So next week, what should we be expecting from the ministry? If both parties, the Abuja and, of course, the Edo election, they won't come together. Bolu, yeah.
Well, Sisi, I like this former minister for one thing. He likes to, he knows what we want to hear. So he knows the right answers for everything. And again, he's a veteran journalist. So, but for me, I think the ministry themselves, they are, to an extent, a part of the problems. Because, for example, before the last election, it was set to be in Edo State. About a week to the election, the ministry said, no, we have in Abuja. That was the beginning of the electoral problems. Then suddenly we heard they sorted it to be in Edo. No problem. Then election day, we have to faction. I believe it's good to make a bold stand immediately. Your stance may be wrong, but at least let us hear your stand. As at the day of the election, the sport minister was in Lagos inspecting the stadium in Surulere. So it shows level of interest as well. Then the election was about 2-3 weeks ago. It's because it was being asked now, he's telling us about next week. No, next week is too far. We want to know what the answer is right now because the athletes are the ones suffering.
They have to set up a committee. That's why. So the process is going to come next week again.
There's always a committee.
Let there
There's
be
always
peace,
a
right,
because
Austin?
for about 5 years, the athletes have not played their first division. They are the ones suffering for these things. Luckily, the Tigers and Tigers, the threats they said, they didn't go through. So luckily, they played the qualifiers, they've qualified. So hope they get to sort this out. Next week is far. At the same time, next week is very near. So let's hope and see. By this time next week, Thursday, everything will have been sorted out and we can boldly say this is what the ministry has said to do.
Yeah, we'll give them from now till next week, Friday. So then we'll see if we can get results coming from the ministry, of course, having one body for NBBF, that's Nigeria Basketball Federation. Yes, we'll go to a place where there is total peace. I'm talking about the Nuge Games, that's Nigeria University Games. And of course, just yesterday, we learned that rowing, canoe, and sailing will be part of the demonstration sport. And the touch has been going around the country. And he made it stop at the office of the Speaker of House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. And of course, when he received the touch, usually when this happens, a lot of promises are made. So he's an alumnus of Unilag, and you know why the Vice Chancellor had to, take that touch to him. So let's take a listen to the Speaker of House of Representatives talking about the support he will be giving to Unilag as they host the Nuga Games come March.
We can always achieve peace through sports. I consider sports as play, but even beyond that. It develops not just the physical body, but even the mental health of any of students. And I'm glad that you've taken this up. But we all know about Nuga. We all grew up with Nuga. But I will be the first to agree with you that that needs to be taken to a totally different level. And that's why what you're doing is definitely a welcome development and very commendable. I'm an old boy of the school, and I'm very proud of the University of Lagos. So whatever I can do in my personal or official capacity to assist, I will be more than happy. I'll be more than happy to do that. I'm happy to receive the touch of unity from you, and hopefully everything will work out according to how you've planned it. All hands must be on deck. The house is more than ready, willing and able to support you however we can. On the issue of the hardball court, yes, my people, my people, they will get in touch with you. I will set the ball rolling.
So enough support is going to be coming from him, right? What do you think Nuga Games is going to be in March? It's going to be, it's just a few weeks away from now in Unilag, and the fact that it will be hosted across different centers, not just only in the universities, and of course the touch just making a stop at the House of Representatives, the Speaker of House of Rep.
Yeah, it's part of what I was saying as regards sports diplomacy. When the touch of unity goes round, Cecilia, you see our leaders say good things about sports. You see them, talk about the power of sports to transform lives. And those are the things I'm saying that we should start practicalizing. The speaker just said it, that we can achieve peace through what? Sports. He knows that. Ukraine needs to know that. Russia needs to know that. The world needs to understand that sports is a unifying factor. And we've been doing the Nuga Games for a very long time. Through sports, we've been bringing students together. We've been using it to stop vices. We're using it to preach against cultism, hooliganism, and promoting peace and unity. And that's something we can continue. It's just quite unfortunate that this is coming late, but it's better late than never. And I just hope that the participants and everyone involved in this year's Nuga Games will see beyond competition and work towards the values that sports can actually give us as a nation and as a people.
That's usually the story. 10,000 students will be expected. Of course, it's going to start March 16th. Bolu, quickly, your thoughts on the Nuge Games being hosted by Unilag?
Well, like I said, I think last week I was a part of an event like this before, the Nigeria Private University Games. So I know what the feeling is like. I know what it means to represent your school. And the fact that this is beyond being in the school, you have to go around. I can't wait for when the governor of Lagos said Sanwo-Olu will receive the touch. I'd love to see his expression, his words as well, because it is coming home this time. Some of us here in Lagos will find ways to watch the event and enjoy it. Luckily, this event is back, and I hope he's here to stay. And like the speaker said, he has promised something. Definitely different promises will come into this game. it's always fun beyond whatever money or cash you get, representing your school with the chance of, who knows, you may be the next star for Nigeria tomorrow. So we can't wait for it to hear. Match looks very far, but we can't wait. We are just counting down days. Hopefully, the anticipation will not be met with disappointment. We get to enjoy the games step by step and no mercenaries. Have fun, enjoy the sports. And after a month-long event, we just come at the end and smile about it.
Yeah, it's going to be 10 days. All right. Okay, let's touch down on beach soccer, Austin. I mean, you followed this so well. And Kada BSC kicked off their campaign for this season today. They had a convincing 10-3 win over Niger BSC. Badagry also got a point of the host Kwara on penalty shootout. You have other results coming from there, from match day 1 and day 2. Igbobo Kingdom and Smart City winning 5-1. Kebbi and Namako Petegi, it was 5-3. It ended after penalty shootout. Kembe Galazi Benue and Kada BSC, of course, 10-5. I think Kada seems to be the team. Badagry Warriors also winning their game. Niger beating Igbobo Kingdom, losing to Igbobo Kingdom by 5-4. And, of course, the game between Kwara and Kogi, Kwara winning 3-1. So these are the results coming from Nigeria Beach Soccer League. I'm happy we are talking about Beach Soccer League. Wow, interesting.
We talked about it on Tuesday. Told our viewers that it's about, to get off. I like the fact that it has started match day 1, got us talking, 19 goals scored from 2 matches. And then look at match day 2, defending champions, Kebbi Beach Soccer Club, struggling to win via penalties. So it tells you that it's getting competitive. And as I said on Tuesday, that these are the things we must do to build a structure and a fan base for beach soccer in Nigeria, So let's just hope that they continue in this light, 10 teams competing now. This is just round 1 taking place in Ilorin. I'm sure when we get to round 2 in Lagos, more persons will join in. I know when it comes to Lagos, it comes with some noise and the crowd also. So we're looking forward to that one. But for now, I agree with you. It's good that we're talking about beach soccer, and this is a way that we can engage the youth. This is another avenue for the NFF to look at ways that we can develop beach soccer in Nigeria. And for us, at the end of the day, it's win-win because Bolu, we are respected in beach soccer, and without a league, you can't have a system, you can't have a structure, you cannot develop.
It was so bad that we couldn't even have continuity with the guys we had because we picked players from the Nigeria professional football. You just gather guys together and all. But now you don't even have to go through stress. Yeah. Just watch this ongoing league, watch the first round, watch the second round, and pick the best players and move on. I think this is, like you said, a win-win even for Nigeria as a whole because now there's a competition going on. The last Copa Lagos we had, some of the players who came here are professional beach soccer players. Yeah. We selected people. This time around, we can boldly say, yes, we have a professional beach soccer team. Hopefully, we get to grow in terms of numbers, in terms of development, performance, and who knows, the beach soccer work, Brazil, don't worry, all those skills you do, you'll see them in our league because a regular football player, no matter how good you are, there's a limit to what you can do. But these guys, this is their job. This is what they do best. All the possible techniques, all the skills necessary for this event, they can have it. So in the next few years, we can be seeing Nigerian beach soccer players going with all the overhead and bicycle kicks on the sand.
That's what we want to see. Hopefully, we'll be able to see that. All right, time to talk about the crisis currently going on in Ukraine, the Russia invasion. A lot of decisions are being made, and that's why UEFA, they've announced today that the Champions League final that will be May 28th, is supposed to be hosted at St. Petersburg Stadium, will no longer be there. So tomorrow, they will be having an extraordinary meeting to decide a venue for that. The president, Alexander Seferin, will be calling for that executive committee meeting on Friday morning. So he's expected to agree on the country that will be hosting. Now, this is, we've talked about this, the fact that nobody expected this to happen. But then when you're having issues like this, of course, they will obviously want to have a better option. That's the stadium right there. A big stadium, thousands of fans usually across the world, want to go to, would have loved to be there to watch it. But right now, by tomorrow, we should be able to know the country that will be hosting. And not only that, Shaka Ofo also removing Gazprom. The stadium was built by Gazprom, also removing Gazprom as their shirt sponsor. So it's a whole lot going on, in Russia, Russia right now, Bolu, because everyone, they are climbing down on it. That's the statement coming from Schalke for German clubs. Following the recent development, they've decided that they want to remove the logo of their main sponsor from the club's shirt, and of course, to be replaced by lettering reading Schalke 04 instead. So you know how much they must have paid for that, but they don't mind losing the money. They just want peace to reign.
Well, that's the most important thing. Peace, peace, peace. It's what everyone is praying for. Because I say it all the time, nobody wants to experience war. Some of us didn't experience what happened in the Civil War, but from readings, from documentaries, from everything, nobody wants to go through that. And from pictures we are seeing coming in from Ukraine, I think it's disheartening. It's sad. So I like that even if UEFA had not said anything now, it was definitely going to happen. There are rumors that maybe they could use Wembley, but whichever, I'm sure every other person or stadium or country will be willing to accept that. But it's sad with all the preparation, the readiness for Zenit St. Petersburg. But again, life is much more important than everything. And football is showing that we also have a statement to make. And that's what Schalke 04 is doing. For Schalke to come out with this, for UEFA to come out with this, believe me, if this doesn't stop now, many club sides, many sport brands that have anything that has to do with Russia, they may start pulling out one by one, because you don't want to be the end of the wrong statements if you decide that, well, it's not our business. It is everybody's business. And we just hope this gets to end very soon, and we continue to move on with our lives.
Yeah, and that's what we are hoping for. Yeah, Austin, also another situation is the fact that Barcelona basketball club were supposed to go to Russia for a game. They've cancelled their trip, and they said they will need to meet with those involved to see what they can do going forward. So there's a whole lot, going on right there. They've cancelled their trip, so they will no longer be going because, of course, the all-out invasion on the Ukraine. Moscow actually staged missile strikes on cities and poured troops into the country, and that's why they are making this decision. They announced this on their Twitter handle, saying that originally they planned to be there today, but then after meetings with the parties involved, their final decision is that they will not be traveling there, because we were supposed to travel to St. Petersburg to play against Zenit and CSK Moscow. The EuroLeague, of course, it's going on there. That's where they were supposed to go to and play. But right now, well, since they can't be guaranteed to be able to leave or enter the country, so because of the conflict, they've decided, okay, no more. Austin, yeah.
I know, it's sad, Cecilia. I struggle to talk about this.
Yeah.
We all can make this world a better place. And I just hope that they find it a lasting solution to this Ukraine-Russia conflict. But let's listen to Audrey Rublev, Cecilia. He's a Russian tennis player, and he's saying nothing is more important than peace in Russia. Let's listen to Rublev, Cecilia.
It's important that much as to have a peace and everyone healthy. In these moments, I think you understand that doesn't matter how bad day you have or something. The most important thing is to have a, let's say, clear sky and to be healthy. And this is, the most important thing. Beside all the sports, all the everything, and in these moments you realize it better, In these moments you realize that my match is not important. So it's not about my match, how it affects me, because what's happening is much more terrible. And like I said, you realize how important is to have peace in the world and to respect each other no matter what, and to be united. That it's not about that we should take care of our earth and of each other, and this is the most important thing.
Yeah, I totally agree with him. It's not about the matches you play now or the victories you achieve. If the world is not settled, if there's fighting going on in one region, then there's no peace. So, and he's saying that peace is more important. I think I love what he said, Cecilia. He was diplomatic. He's Russian, and he just found a way to say, look, if there's no peace in the world, why are we even playing sports? What's there to come and celebrate, or what victory are we achieving when the world is in crisis?
Yeah, I mean, put it so well. And of course, he's not the only one we're talking about. There's the Klitschko brothers, we know what they've done for Ukraine. Former heavyweight champion Vitaly Klitschko, for instance, he's now the mayor of Kyiv. I mean, he's been talking about the fact that they are ready to really, fight for their country. concerning this whole war. I mean, it was not something they expected, but it has happened. And, they're lending their voices to, these guys, command a lot of respect because of what they've achieved for Ukraine. And right now, they are also talking about this. I mean, it really needs to stop. I mean, for, Vitaly Klitschko and Vladimir to come out to say, look, okay, now this is the statement, from one of them saying the world is watching how reckless and deadly imperialism is, not just for Ukraine, but the whole world. Let history be a lesson to not be repeated. It went on to say that, be sure Ukraine is strong. It has a strong capital, strong cities, and united people who value above all their independence, sovereignty, and peace in Europe. Its will to exist is infinite. Glory to Ukraine. This is coming from Vladimir Klitschko, the former world heavyweight champion, talking about the crisis in the country. And of course, Vitaly Klitschko, as I mentioned earlier, has vowed to really fight and send a united message of warning, along with his brother, to other fellow Ukraine, that they are ready to defend their sovereign nation. The tension has been rising in the past 3 weeks, and today, finally, the invasion happened. And that's why most of them are really not happy. So, I mean, there's a whole lot happening right here in Ukraine, so our hearts are with those people who are really facing the crisis, especially some Nigerians that are still there, and the footballers are also playing there. It's not something they ever witnessed. Most of them just wanted to go there and play football. But right now, with this crisis happening, we just hope that peace will be able to reign. The whole world is talking about it. International communities are condemning it. I hope that, Russian President Vladimir Putin will just listen to reason and be able to, just call it off and let there be peace. Bolu, Austin, what do you guys think?
Well, I think that's what's supposed to be. Like you said, we have players in Russia, we have players in Ukraine, Nigerians. And obviously, other nations also have players everywhere around the world. Nobody wants to see their citizens die in another country due to unrest or whatever. It could go beyond what we see. For instance, if all the attacks, if it affects, let's say, an American citizen, a British citizen, it will go beyond what everyone thinks. I like what Rublev said, beyond the games, because they themselves could start suffering insults from other persons. Like, it's your country, you are Russian, it's coming from you. So we hope it doesn't go beyond what it's. And like you rightly said, Sisi, I hope Putin listens to the voice of reason and just step on the pedal. Yes, we've seen what muscle, what power can be. Let everyone just calm down. Peace is the most important thing. Yes, sport is fun, sport is love, sport is life, but we need to take care. We need to be careful, cautious, because if there's no peace, even when you are playing your sport in your own country, another part of you will be thinking anything can still happen. So, Senior Vladimir Putin, just step on the pedal. Yeah, step on it, or Bolu. That's how we're going to end it there. Everyone step on the pedal and just see how peace can reign. Bolu, thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight. It's always a pleasure being around. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Have a good night's rest.
Let's do this again tomorrow in London. I'm Austin Okonapan. In everything you do, remember, let's keep talking Sports 5 for now.